Today I convert the taillights on the Maverick from incandescent light bulbs to LED taillights for 50 bucks. All right, now that we got the Maverick up and running, let's face it, these old taillights, they're not cutting it anymore. We need to upgrade them. I was having all kinds of problems with the original socket in the car, and I ended up replacing them with these aftermarket ones that you get from O'Reilly or AutoZone. And these things were still, I don't know, these things are kind of cheap, just a cheap stamping. So even with the new sockets in place, I was still having to fiddle with the light bulb to get the connection just right. These things are garbage. Not to mention the connectors on the ends in here were pulling off of the wires as well. They're hardly crimped on there. So that led me down the path of looking for an LED upgrade for these taillights on the Maverick. Now the first thing I tried was these 1157 replacement LEDs, but these things are, I've had mediocre success with these things in the past. They really didn't look right and they didn't work right in the old school taillight lenses. Now I did remember seeing years ago that somebody did sell LED conversions for these things, the entire taillight assembly, and they're like 250 bucks, somewhere in that range, something like that. Well, I'm entirely too cheap for that, so I was looking for better alternatives. So what I remembered was I used to have a KLR 650, a Kawasaki motorcycle, and I had converted that taillight to an LED. Well, that LED was actually a printed circuit board, and you actually screwed it into the 1157 light bulb socket, but the board itself was all LED and it was super bright and it worked really, really well. So that got my wheels turning about, I wonder if there was an option for using a printed circuit board to replace these taillights with. So I was at O'Reilly's one day and I happened to walk by the electrical shelf and I saw all the taillights hanging on the wall. And I was like, I wonder what these things have inside of them. And sure enough, they have printed circuit boards in them. So I thought, I wonder if I can convert these taillights and use these circuit boards. So I did the driver's side, but let me show you what we did. All right, so there's the printed circuit board inside the lens of the Maverick compared to the incandescent bulb. And then this is with the hazards on. So you can definitely see the difference in brightness compared to the passenger side. All right, so inside the car here, you're gonna have your sockets that you need to remove. Just go ahead and pop these things out. There's a clip over here, you just undo the harness and just move it out of the way. And then we're gonna take a 7/16 and take all these bolts out, all these nuts off. Hopefully without the studs breaking off. All right, so just grab the taillight assembly. There is insulation in here, so you'll have to break that loose from the car. So I'm just gonna take a screwdriver and run it around the edge just to keep from tearing it, hopefully. All right, there we go. Trying not to tear it, of course. Next, you've got a whole bunch of Phillips screws in here and little clips. You're gonna go ahead and take all those clips off. All right, next you can just take the main body out, and then that gives you your ring. You set that aside. Next, you gotta separate these two now. Try to give it a little pull, then you can separate it, trying not to rip the insulation. Looks like this one was, well, maybe I tore it. Yeah, that's okay. This thing's old and original, so it's no big deal. All right, I got the lens clean. All I did was just clean it with some soap and water. And then as far as the inside part, all I did was took some brake parts cleaner and I just cleaned these edges right here and right here. I'm not worried about the rest of this because it doesn't matter anymore. If you want to take the time to clean it, go ahead. Let me show you what we got to do with the taillights. All right, obviously you want to remove the rubber gasket. Don't need that anymore. And then all I did was I just took some channel locks and I just kind of squeezed around the edge of it just to break that glue. It's just a glue that holds it together. So just go ahead and give that some crimps all the way around. You'll hear it snapping off. The worst part is the corners, they're glued on there pretty hard. But you just want to be careful of the circuit board inside that you don't crush it, right? All right, so now that I got a gap going in the middle, I'm just going to get a screwdriver. And I'm going to try to work that in there. And then that pops off that end right there. And once you get that end popped off, just go ahead and pull it apart. Just gonna pull those off. You won't need them anymore. And then you'll just separate this, the circuit board, from the housing. And now this is all glued in here, so you'll have to cut the wiring harness. Clip that, separate that. Now you can discard this. So what you're left with is the circuit board itself with the wiring. These are really small and delicate, so just be careful with them. Hold the wire, don't hold the circuit board. Put butt connectors on each one of these and crimp them down. All right, that's all set. All right, now as far as the housing is concerned and running the wires through here, you can either use the old socket and run the wires through the middle of it. I just happen to have a grommet here that fits this opening pretty good. It's not perfect, but it will definitely keep the wires from getting chafed. Come on, there we go. Get all this stuff fed through the grommet. Let's see, this is the top. So I'm gonna put those at the top. I'm gonna orient it exactly the same as I did the passenger side, so I don't think it matters, but I put this towards the top. And now as you can see, this circuit board fits in here perfectly, nice and flat. So how I'm gonna secure this, I looked at different ways. I was either gonna screw it down or I was gonna, use an epoxy or something. But then I thought I have 3M tape and I just cut 2 big pieces. It really doesn't matter how big it is. And I'll just stick it right to the circuit board. And now I'll spend the next 10 minutes getting this red tape off the other side. Sometimes this stuff does not want to come off. All right, now that you got that off, you want to just try to center, eyeball this thing as close as you can and get it good and center and level. That looks good enough. Now we're just going to push this in. Just be careful, these are LEDs right here and right here. You don't want to push on those. So just take your lens and put it back on. Screw that down just till it's snug. That's all you need to do. And then just work your way around and finish it off. Okay, all those are on now. Go easy on the ugga-duggas. You don't need to go crazy. All right, now we can put the backup light socket in. Now on the back of the old taillight lens, it does tell you the colors, at least in this particular brand anyway. Okay, looks good. Right turn signal, left, brakes. All right, it looks pretty darn good for cheap. Those lights are anywhere from $15 to $20, $25 a piece. I got them from a buddy of mine who is a trailer manufacturer at Crocker Manufacturing, so thank you, Barry, for the taillights. Yeah, with just, with modern traffic in this modern age, I'd rather have a bright taillight on this thing, or brake lights especially. Hopefully get people's attention a little better. Now these taillights are a 10 LED. When it's inside this lens here with the rounded part of the plastic, it actually looks really good. It casts that light out in a fan almost. So you can really see that pattern there. Will it last? I don't know. We'll find out. Check back with me in a few months. I'll keep you posted if something happens or if they fail or whatnot. I'll let you know. I mean, they're cheap enough. It's kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'll just keep replacing them if I have to. I can't remember really the last time I've ever really had to replace one of these taillights on a trailer. And this thing's probably going to get used as much as a trailer, especially coming into summer here. But, and then that double sticky tape, I guess we'll find out if that holds too, the 3M. So this is all an experiment. So I guess we'll find out if it works, but I'm pretty happy with the results. I think that's going to be really good. Hopefully that gets people's attention a little bit more than the old dim light bulbs. Cause I know a buddy of mine was behind me and he was like, you can hardly see those brake lights. I figured it was worth trying it. What the heck? Let's see what happens. Let's see how long they last. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more on the Maverick. I got more stuff coming up with this thing now that we've got it up and running and driving. We can go have some fun with this thing. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.